and accounted for, I would reconvene the meeting from closed session. And with that, I would like to report that this afternoon, during closed session, the board unanimously voted to reject a claim for injury or damage filed by Delia Castellan. The board further instructed the district to relay this rejection to Ms. Castellan as well as to Keenan and Associates for processing. So with that, let's please stand, and I would ask Daisy to lead us in the flag salute. All right. With that, per board policy 2350, any person may address the board at this time either on an agenda item or other matters of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. A maximum of 5 minutes is allowed for each speaker, with a maximum of 15 minutes per item unless otherwise extended by the board. With that, are there any public comments concerning items that are on the agenda? Are there public comments concerning items not on the agenda?
Good afternoon, folks. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Steve Natoli. I've taught history here for 18 years, and I've come here to say goodbye. I'm retiring my teaching career of 35 years, and I want to thank you and commend you for your many years of service to the college, to the constituents, to the students, to the well-being of our whole area, really. Most of you have been on this board for a lot of years, and it was a pleasure working with you. I was Academic Senate President 2004 to 2008. That's been a long time ago now. But as always, you know, there were contentious issues. We were at kind of a critical juncture, and we worked together and we worked things out. We got some things done, and we got things going on the right path again. I'll always thank you for the opportunity to do that. And lately, working with Stan, the reaffirmation of accreditation back up there. You know, those were hot times. You know, that was fun to be in the middle of that stuff. I mean, at least looking at it from afterwards, it was fun to, you know, be able to be a part of it. Yeah, right. You kind of forget the pain afterwards. But so I just wanted to come and say goodbye. We have accepted an offer on our home. We have a condo in Rancho Bernardo in the city limits of San Diego. Our first grandchild is down there, and we will be probably moving before the end of June. And so, you know, just come to say goodbye, folks. You're good folks. It's been a real pleasure to be here these years, and I'll always remember you.
Mr. Zomo.
If I may, during the years that Steve was president of the Academic Senate, I was also president of this board. And he and I had probably more exchanges than I had had either before or since with that president of the Academic Senate. Both of us had many opportunities to make the other one's efforts much more difficult or much easier. And in all cases, we took the easier route. You were very supportive of some things I couldn't explain to you at the time, and vice versa. And I personally thank you a lot for the things you did to make this college better.
ditto what John said, but also just always, thinking back of all the times where you truly always put the college above yourself. Even when times were real personal and we all had issues that we took to heart a little more because they meant something different to us, or we worked on them harder, longer, however that was, you always put the college first, even if it wasn't quite what you wanted. And I think that's why the college is better off with presidents like you who truly look out for the students and the college and can put some of those personal differences aside. I appreciate it, and we'll miss you. Thanks.
Steve, thank you for stopping by a board meeting. I certainly appreciate that. I haven't been here as long as some of my other colleagues, but this is the first time that a professor has done this, and it's appreciative. Thank you. Rancho Bernardo, I'm envious.
Well, so often, all you hear from faculty is when they have a problem or a grievance or a gripe against you. We all can use a pat on the back now and then, and you deserve it. You really do. The college is in good hands under your leadership.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy retirement.
Okay, comments not on the agenda. Anyone else? Okay, if not, we will move on to item 6, board and executive staff reports. We're going to start with Daisy.
So, starting off with the Visalia campus, May 5th. Friday, May 5th, the Visalia campus hosted an event in which over 2,000 sixth grade students from the Visalia School District came for campus tours, different activities, and activities related to college readiness. It was from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m., and we got great feedback from those in Student Senate who were able to help out. Student Senate also held online elections from May 8th to the 11th. Results are as follows. Shane Strong will be Student Senate President and Student Trustee. Johnny De Oliveira will be Student Senate Vice President. Isabella O'Keefe will be Commissioner of Activities. Aurelie Saldana will be Commissioner of Clubs. Jasmine Pacheco will be Commissioner of Finance. And there was a tie vote between Charlie Koch and Sarah Town for Student Body Ambassador. So there will be a runoff election online starting today and ending Wednesday. And if the position was not taken, someone will be appointed. There in Visalia, going on in Visalia, there's also going to be a dance concert featuring CUS students Friday, May 19th and Saturday, May 20th from 7 to 9 p.m. Onto the Tulare campus, they're hosting an Ag Awards banquet on Thursday, May 18th from 5:30 to 10 p.m. in the Livestock Pavilion. It's sponsored by the Ag Council. Tickets are $15 for students and $25 for non-students. The Ag Department in Tulare is also making a video for the Chancellor's Office showing off what the Ag Department is about. Hanford campus, they had a couple of events going on. They had a mental health awareness event May 10th. They also had a resume workshop that same day. Bradman University visited, and this gave students a chance to sell food and make some money. Hanford campus is also hosting a book buyback, as well as Visalia campus, I believe. And all 3 campuses had a successful STEP events. We had great feedback from those events. And this, I'm sure most of you might know, but this is my last meeting as trustee, so I just wanted to thank everyone on the board for being so kind and welcoming, and it's been an honor to serve as trustee, so thank you.
Thank you. Great. So looking on to transferring, I suppose, and
Yes,
moving on?
after next semester. I'm not able to be in Student Senate next semester because of a conflict with the class I need, and it's the only time, only day. So I can't be in Student Senate, otherwise I would definitely run for trustee again, but yeah, it's unfortunate. So yeah, I'll be transferring after next year.
And tell them who you're hoping to go.
I want to go to USC.
Is that a college somewhere, or?
Ignore him.
Okay, well, good. Board member reports, starting to my left with Mr. Zumwalt.
First of all, we're meeting a week later than usual. Thank the board for moving the meeting so that I could be on vacation and not miss a meeting. I will say I didn't miss you a bit, but thank you for doing that. Also, just as a matter of information, the Friday before I left, the law firm of Consorties and Conway, who's a prominent legal firm in Hanford and also an advisor to Stan Carasoso on his superintendent's advisory group, hosted a luncheon for Dr. Castro and his wife, Golden State. I was invited. I couldn't figure out quite why, because everybody there except me was ag interest. All the various ag farm bureaus from about 4 or 5 counties from Merced to Bakersfield were there, as well as some prominent farmers. And they were looking to form a group from our area to advise Dr. Castro on agriculture matters, and it was more of no specific goal set. It was an interesting meeting, and if I'm invited again, I'll certainly go.
Good.
I was fortunate enough to play in the President's Cup golf tournament held, I believe it was on the 28th. We had 18 teams. We had a great time, and it's really I mean, we do raise good money, but it's really good for the college to be out there. It's a we call it a fundraiser also. So that was a fun time. So.
Thank you. Mr. Mann?
I just wanted to mention that I had the opportunity to attend the year-end barbecue, which was very nice, and it was nice to meet some of the staff that I don't normally see. Also, the scholarship night that Tim, I think, kind of ramrodded, was very, very nice. A lot of money given out, and we have a bunch of brilliant students at this college. And then this last week, the honoring of the Scholastic students. And I was very interested to see, we almost had as many males there as females. So that was nice, and it was a very, very nice function.
I'm just going to piggyback a little bit on Earl about the CSF luncheon. Just so you know, I was at the high school award ceremony the other night, and the number of CSF students is increasing every year due to the luncheon. So it's really, I mean, it's working, I think, because students did it, and some would say, well, where are you going today? Well, I'm going to the luncheon. Well, I did CSF. Well, did you do it all, whatever, 6 semesters? Or, well, no, I'm not. Well, so that word got around the last 2 years, and so this year it took a lot longer, and the counselor even said, what's going on? And the kids, I could hear them saying, it's the luncheon. We all want to go to the luncheon. I mean, they wanted the gold cord too, don't get me wrong, but the luncheon has become an incentive, and I think that's helped the advisors on the high school campuses quite a bit. Instead of having to pester the kids, they're coming to him now, and he doesn't have to find them, so that's a good thing.
Okay, great. I attended the, not quite yet, I attended the sailboat regatta last Thursday. I'm sure Tim is going to give us a little report on that, so I won't bore you with any details. We were fortunate, we had great weather. So with that, I'll call on Mr. Foster for the foundation report.
Once again, you folks helped me out with my report, and I really appreciate it. I appreciate all the engagement that you have in the community. I'm glad we were able to give you some opportunities to do that. And Ken, you came out to our golf tournament at the President's Cup as well, and shook some hands and kissed some babies there too. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Speaking of our scholarship night, we did have that on May 4th, and we our scholarship process this cycle didn't all happen at scholarship night, but during that cycle, we awarded and matched 464 scholarship awards to donors, and for a total of $402,000. So that's really good. Now, some of you might go to scholarship nights at a high school, and they go, oh, we had $700,000 given out. They're counting all those scholarships, those free ride scholarships, and that kind. This is our money passing through the COS Foundation to our students. We do have a lot more scholarships than that, but we did have 465 people in attendance this year, and we had 170 of them being students, 220 being guests, and 75 donors coming and sitting at a table with their recipients engaging in conversation. And I think that was the highest value thing that we received feedback from our donors saying they love that opportunity to sit down and talk to their students instead of simply just handing them a piece of paper out on the stage. So I think we're going to continue that format. I mentioned to you last meeting that we came up with this new idea of directing some of our scholarship applicants to other scholarship opportunities outside of our scholarship mechanism. Well, we did that with Reese for Kids as well. Reese for Kids has a transfer scholarship that they award. They award this year they awarded $72,500 in 3 states, California, South Carolina, and Texas, because that's where they have locations for their factories or plants. Food factories. Well, this year we did this referral process. They did have to go, and our students had to go and take that extra step of filling out their application. But we facilitated 12 awards at $2,500 apiece. So $30,000 of that $72,500 came to COS transferees. And so that's a mechanism we'll obviously do again and again. So it's another opportunity to get more money into our students' hands, even those that are transferring. We did have the COS Regatta on the 11th. We had 12 boats. We netted $12,000, just approximately $12,000 this year. We had a low attendance. There was about 55 people there, so it was a pretty small, intimate party. But again, we netted the money that we were looking for. That $12,000 is from essentially the net proceeds of the event. But we also opened up the opportunity to sponsor a starting block for $3,500 or lane lines for $400 a piece, and we raised another $4,300 in capital gifts on top of the 12 so far, and we're going to continue to keep raising that. And the foundation's already committed to matching any dollars that we need to reach our goal for funding the pool enhancements on top of the renovations that are already occurring as we speak. The pool's being drained. The last thing I wanted to mention is that we received word of a planned gift. So a former COS critical thinking and English professor, Jack Behringer, wrote us into his will for the tune of $20,000 to just give towards scholarships. That was the stipulation with scholarships. Professor Behringer retired from COS in 2003, and he passed away in November of last year. He also left us an entire VHS tape collection to be given to our district's media department. So we'll figure out what comes of that.
Does it come with a VHS player?
Yeah, I might be going on eBay looking to test the condition of all these tapes.
Vintage VCR player.
Yeah, but it turns out there is a whole market for those, and we'll see what we can do to turn that into
Just like vinyl.
resources for the media department.
Don't get rid of
Yeah,
it.
and really upcoming events. They're out there. It's September 22nd. We have our crush party, and October 5th we have our Hall of Fame.
Tim, maybe you could call American Pickers. They might.
Right. I'm about ready to take them over to our storage space on campus and see if they want to pick apart our stuff. I have some Victrola records. I have all kinds.
Tim, just to follow up on your report, Dr. Kristen Hodabaugh was the big winner.
Yes.
At the regatta, and she was.
Yes.
Robinson. I meant to say
Robinson. Dr. Robinson, yes.
That was my last.
Kristen.
And she was so kind as to donate her big time winnings back to the foundation. So
Precisely. Thank you very much for that.
Hey, Tim, you might mention too that the 2 winners at the golf tournament donated their money back to the foundation.
Yes. Headed by Steve Virgin, our former COS Foundation board member. His team took their team winnings and returned that back to the college, and that caused second place to do the same with the Team Hyde, and I guess they call themselves the Wolf Pack. So we need to give credit to the Wolf Pack.
okay. That's all the time you have, Tim. Accreditation report, Dr. Discernment, please.
That was good. Can you hand that down, Megan? Okay, I'm handing out a brief accreditation update. The first thing is that our accreditation work group is continuing to work on our fall next year projects. That's going to include a marketing campaign, educational information, feedback on the various drafts of the report, and preparing for our site visit for 2018. There are 5 faculty members who have been serving as our co-chairs, and according to our contracts, the year before accreditation, they get reassigned time. And so they were jointly appointed last week by the Academic Senate and Superintendent President to serve next year continue in their roles. Dr. Deborah Nolan, Dr. Marla Prochnow, Ms. Ann Morris, Ms. Pura Cordero, and Dr. Sarah Harris. ACCJC, I have several updates from them. One is that they're looking for more faculty to serve on accreditation site visit teams, especially librarians, and we have 2 here right now, so saying that, but we shared that with our librarians and our other faculty. We had the first meeting for the substantive change revamp, and the information will be going into improving that process, including streamlining, clarifying definition, and reviewing timelines. Their next meeting of the ACCJC is June 7th through 9th, and they'll be reviewing several of the policies that we discussed here last time. And they have also not put out their slate of candidates for their 2017 elections to serve on the commission. And I have the list there. They have a faculty administrator, a rep from Hawaii, from WASC, Pacific Colleges, and from the Chancellor's Office. So brief update. Any questions on accreditation?
Questions?
Thank you.
Okay, superintendent report, and we're going to start with Mr. Carrizosa with the first item, recognition of our student trustee, Daisy.
Okay, Daisy, could you join me at the podium, please, just for a moment? As Daisy makes her way up here, I think all of you are aware, especially those of you who attend our board meetings somewhat regularly, the additional time, energy, and work involved with a student who takes on the responsibility to be the representative student to the Board of Trustees. Daisy stepped in at a really important time when there was an unexpected vacancy. She was only able to serve half the year in the term because of what had happened. It wasn't by any fault of her own, but she did step in at a time when in past years we weren't able to find a student to do that additional responsibility. So we never had to go through a period of time on our board meetings where we didn't have a student represented here. So on my behalf, I want to especially thank you for that, Daisy. But then just in general, we know the extra time, effort, and work involved with serving as a student member of the Board of Trustees. So we wanted to present you just with this small token of our appreciation to Daisy Beltran, student trustee, spring 2017, in appreciation for your hard work, commitment, and outstanding contributions as a student trustee.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you're still on.
All right, now we'd like to take the opportunity to introduce some new faculty. We'll have some for you at this meeting, our May meeting, our June meeting, and our July meeting, hopefully to be able to complete all of our introductions of new faculty before we start the August fall semester. As you know, when you look ahead to our first board meeting in August, it often coincides with the first day of classes, and this fall is no exception. So because of that, we know it's pretty hard to get faculty here on the first day of classes, so we're starting our introductions early again to try to complete them all before that time. So I'll turn it over to Dr. Lacerna, who will introduce deans and faculty.
Great. Thank you so much. And so we have the great honor of, or pleasure, I should say, of hiring 18 new faculty members this year. And we have our first 3 to present to you tonight. And so I'm going to ask Brent Davis and Allison Briano to come up. We have a retirement with Tracy Myers retiring from Swim and Dive. And so our first faculty member we'd like to introduce, I'm going to have Brent Davis introduce our new swim dive coach.
Good evening, everyone. It's my pleasure to introduce Allison Briano as our new full-time physical education and swim and dive head coach. Allie is from our area. She was raised here, attended Mount Whitney High School, was a stellar swimmer there, still owns some WYO records and some Valley records in the pool. She went on from Mount Whitney to receive a scholarship, a full ride to USC. I know there's a lot of USC people here today, including Daisy. But she was a part of their 1997 national championship swim team, so that's a really rare feat. She then embarked on a teaching and coaching career, which included a stop at Dos Pueblo High School in Santa Barbara, which is a state power in all their athletic programs, but just a really reputable program. Spent some time in Pasadena before coming back home and really settling in at El Diamante, being their head swim and dive coach over there, also teaching English and winning championships over there. So we're really honored, we're really excited, and just happy that Allie's joining our faculty in our PE division and at College of the Sequoias. So I'm going to turn it over to Allie, and maybe she can say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Brent, and I just wanted to say I'm truly honored to be accepting this position as a full-time faculty here. I consider it such a privilege to be back in my hometown, giving back to the community that sculpted me and gave me so many opportunities in this world of swimming and coaching and aquatics. So I'm going to do a really good job for you. I have big plans, and I'm really looking forward to working together with all of you guys as we move forward. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Allie.
And one thing that Brent didn't mention is that Allie we actually hired her as an English adjunct faculty member first, and she's been teaching our dual enrolled class at Woodlake High School, so in your area. And so we really appreciate that work that she's been doing. And our next two that we're going to introduce, we often have retirements at the last minute. And so last year we had that case, and so we had to hire 2 full-time temporary faculty members. And both of the next 2 were full-time temporary for a year and now have gone through the interview process twice. They went through last year, they went through the full process again, and were selected as the full-time tenure track position for this year. So the first one is Emily Campbell, and I'm going to have Mary Catherine Oxford from our library director introduce Emily.
Hello. I'm very excited to introduce Emily Campbell to you. You guys met her last year also. As Jennifer said, she was full-time temp here for last year, and before that she was a year as adjunct. So we've had the opportunity to work with her for 2 years, and she's been an amazing colleague. Her past experience was at Fresno County Public Library, and she grew up here in the Valley, went to Merced Community College, and really understands the importance of community colleges in this area. And most importantly, she's really built her career on bringing library services to traditionally underserved populations and really doing a lot of outreach to bring in more students or community members to use the library. And it's her experience and her passion and her compassion that make her a great addition to our team. So we're very excited to have her as a colleague. Thanks.
Thank you, Mary Catherine, and I can't express how happy I am to be here for the second year in a row. Just to give you a little bit of background on my education and my work experience, I have about 10 years of library experience. I've worked here at COS since 2015. And then prior to that, I was a librarian for the Fresno County Public Library System, where I worked in branches throughout the county. I have a master's in library and information science from San Jose State, an English bachelor's from Fresno State, and then I started my education at Merced College, like Mary Catherine said, where I earned an associate's in English. I know firsthand how important the community college is as an institution, and I have to say how honored I am to be able to get up every morning and really contribute to that mission. So I thank you very much, and I hope to have many, many years here. Thank you.
Okay, and our third person tonight, I'll ask Dr. Thad Russell to come up and introduce our auto technology faculty member.
Good evening, trustees. Excited to be up here to introduce you again to Donald, as Dr. Lacerna mentioned. He would have been in front of you last August as an emergency hire. So Donald comes to us from the private sector. earned an associate degree in automotive technology from Fresno City College a number of years, went directly into the industry, advanced his skills to the highest level of technician certification with both General Motors and Toyota. He was an adjunct instructor for us for 5 years before accepting that full-time temp position last year. We're excited to have him. We're glad to have him. He keeps busy with 4 kids, a collection of Toyota Land Cruisers, diddles in did I get it right? Toyota Land Cruisers? Oh, okay. Sorry. Everything from amateur radio to rocketry to, again, anything else that his 4 kids keep him going at. The other interesting thing is he's very well published. He's regularly published in automotive magazines. So he's not only an expert in his field, but he's considered a content expert as well from a publishing standpoint. So the last year and those few years before, we've had a chance to observe him in the classroom. He is phenomenal classroom presence, tremendous amount of engagement with students and mutual respect and all those things that we like to see in the classroom. So we think he exhibits that energy and that enthusiasm that'll help us kind of rebuild the automotive program to a program of excellence. So, Donald.
Thank you. Well, I am so grateful and thankful to be here tonight again with all of you accepting this position. I accepted it the other day with President Carrizosa. But I was thinking recently of all the connections that we have, and there's so much that goes behind the scenes. I was speaking with another shop owner that knows a couple trustees that was saying, "Oh yeah, I know people on the board there." And he's working behind the scenes sometimes, and sometimes he's the face of his business. But we have those people that keep your cars running. We have the people that, such as myself, who are teaching the new generation who's coming along to do that. We've got people that are in the background and people that are in the foreground, people that share dual roles. And those connections, it's just amazing to me how much there is connecting us all together. I'm reaching out to the community, to the high schools, to the businesses. I'm part of the Automotive Service Council. I'm a board member for our local chapter. And making those connections is very important to me. And we have such a great support structure in you guys, in the community. I just appreciate all that goes on at the college and at the community level. So, thank you.
I actually had a discussion over the weekend with a gentleman from Tulare who's
Yes.
in the automotive repair industry, and apparently you and him have already had a discussion, and I don't know who reached out to who, but there's already discussion going on about outreach programs and things that we can do to help those folks out there in the industry. So that sounds very, very good.
Absolutely. I certainly appreciate all those connections that are made.
I have a question, just
Yes.
kind of general knowledge that I don't have. Are the automotive programs still viable at the high school level? Do they still have them?
Absolutely. So we have the 3 local high schools in Visalia, El Diamante, Redwood High School, and Golden West, all have very strong programs going. Very good industry support. There's a council that meets 4 times a year to support them, to support their work experience that they do for their students. And Dr. Russell and I have been privileged to be a part of that, of that council, and learning from them, working with them as well. So definitely a good movement forward. They're revamping the Porterville College High School. Porterville High School, not Porterville College. Porterville High School automotive program. So there are programs out there that are moving forward, Hanford and outside of our counties as well.
Did mention Tulare, I know.
Tulare needs some more help.
Yeah.
Needs some push forward. I know
That's
that.
where my question was coming
Yes,
from.
absolutely. Any others? Questions? Okay.
All right, well, congratulations.
Thank you
very
all.
much.
Okay, so next we have an introduction of a new manager who's not necessarily a new manager, but new to her position. So if Dr. Shingle can join me. I have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Jonna Shingle. And with the retirement of Cindy Delane, we had a moment to restructure, refigure, analyze the position of dean that Cindy had. And at that point, we, through our processes, determined that it was appropriate to split that position out and hire an associate dean to cover the nursing, allied health, physical therapy, all of our health programs. And so we did an internal search for that position, and Dr. Shingle is our appointee for that position. And the position is the director of, or the associate dean and allied health director. So she will be the dean over our allied health programs, director of physical therapy, and then oversee our nursing program as well. So a little bit about Jonna. She has a BA in exercise physiology from San Francisco State, a BS in physical therapy from the University of California, San Francisco, a master's in educational technology, and a doctorate in educational administration from the University of Pacific. So she has worked in hospitals and outpatient physical therapy for over 35 years as a physical therapist, and she specialized in outpatient orthopedics and manual therapy. Dr. Shingle moved to Visalia in 1992, and she owned and operated her own private physical therapy practice for about 15 years before she began teaching at COS. She started at COS in 2009 to develop our physical therapy assistant program, and graduated our first class in 2011. And tomorrow night is their graduation for the 6th class. And so one of the things that I wanted to share about last year is we had, for our class from last year, 100% of our physical therapy students passed their exams, and 100% were placed into jobs. And so that's pretty exciting. And so we are really excited to have Dr. Shingle in her new position as Associate Dean. And I want to introduce you to her and let her say a few words. So,
well, I humbly accept this position. Cindy Delane is a hard act to follow, so I'm glad I only got half of her job. But I do feel like medicine is in a huge whirlwind, and being able to be a dean and associate dean just over the medical education programs is really a privilege for me. And my goal really is just to maintain and push forward the great history that COS has in producing the workforce that the medical providers in this area need, and to keep our own local kids employed and educated here. And as an employer, I came to COS a few years ago and begged Cindy as a new dean to start a PTA program. And to her credit, she saw the vision and helped us bring it to pass. So I'm really here on her shoulders, and I just hope to do the good work that you guys have been doing in this area for many, many years. So thanks for your confidence.
Thank you, John.
So let me see if I have this straight. You went from being a gator to a dog,
Yes.
to a tiger, and now you're a giant among your peers, right?
Take it down.
All right.
Once
we're
you've been
back
a
to,
giant, there's nowhere else to go, right?
Talk about 100%, but 100% of what? How many students?
25 are accredited in our cohort. We're allowed to take 25 a year. So if 25 is our cap, Greg, 100% of that enrollment passed the exams at the state level, and we're fully employed.
Yes.
So 25 out of 25. And we have a new cohort rolling through.
Yeah, so they've passed their national board, so they can't get a job without passing that test.
Right, and I understand that once they pass that, get their certificate, I mean, they could go to like $29 an hour or something.
Our new grads, we just had a job fair on campus 2 weeks ago. All of them were offered multiple jobs, and some of them are making anywhere from about $26 to about $34 an hour just out of COS. The best part of my job is making new taxpayers. I pay a lot of taxes, and I would like to share that burden with students.
You got it. Okay, Mr. President, the last item on my report list goes along a little bit with the report that Dr. Lacerna gave us on the accreditation update. And just to inform you as a board that as we get ready to start this fall, we're going to be not only writing our self-study, but right alongside that, we're going to be developing the next 3-year version of our strategic plan.
And in that strategic plan, we'll be developing, we have commissioned 4 task forces. And 1 task force each will group up during the fall semester and spend some time in a handful of meetings assessing, evaluating, and processing the current status of each of the 4 district-wide goals. So we've got those big overarching goals in our master plan, and to prepare for our next round of the strategic plan, we're going to take each one of those 4 major goals and break them down to be studied and discussed by a task force so that recommendations can come from those task forces for how we might update those objectives then for the next 3-year plan in response to those goals. Goal number 4 and area number 4 has to do with sustainability, and it's the area that prescribes in our master plan all of the work that we do in our structures for participatory governance and for decision making. So when we talk about sustaining COS 2.0 structures, we talk about the systems we have in place right now to run the district governance senate, the academic senate, the student senate, the representative committees, and the ongoing assessments of their effectiveness, changes to those processes, and improvements in those processes. Embedded in that is a responsibility on the part of the board to play the role that the board does in the work toward accreditation. And so you'll recall in the last several years, we've built in things like the accreditation report every board meeting, the tie to accreditation standards and to strategic plan objectives every time we're presenting budget or program goals and so on. So to that end, we have a group 4, a task force for that goal area number 4, sustainability, set up for the fall. And because it involves the governance structures, we would like to have a board member volunteer represented on that task force to join in that work with us. Refresh my memory, Dr. Lacerna, it's about how many meetings? And I know time frame is first semester, but the task force work?
Yeah, there will be a workshop training at the beginning of August. It'll be at 3 hours. I think it's August 10th. And then it'll probably about 2 meetings a month, September, October, and November, and then we'll end in November. And there's the summit. There will be an academic senate summit September 29th. It's a half day as well. And we can make arrangements for call-in meetings and things like that if you can't be present.
Okay. So with that, unless I would be happy to volunteer to serve on this committee, unless any other board member has a strong urgency to serve. So.
No, I was going to say, and I'll back you up, if there's a meeting you can't go to and you want to bounce something off, I'd be happy to fill in for you if you need it ever, if that works.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that is, if that is acceptable, then that's the way we will go.
Thanks, Ken.
All right?
Okay, thank you, Ken.
Okay, reports, Academic Senate report and update. I don't see Dr. Trimble here today, and I don't know that she has a representative here.
Okay.
So we will move on. Costa report update. Do we have a representative from Costa today?
No
Apparently
report.
not. All right, CSA report. He's not wearing his orange shirt, but Mr. Lamar is here.
I just wanted to quickly thank everybody involved with the appreciation dinner, and thank you, Worrell, for coming to attend that. All the people involved putting that together. I wanted to thank Tim Foster before he leaves. He's always
Poor guy, trying to get to his next event.
I know. He is always such a huge help on all these events we do around this campus, and this one including the appreciation dinner, because their scholarship was the next night. And it's just a pleasure working with him. I want to thank him for all the work he does. Thank you, sir.
Okay, next on the agenda is a COSAFA report, and I see Mr. Nakamura is here with us today.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. All right, moving down to information items. Staff.
Good evening. I know you're really excited because
senior management teases me and says I bring these quarterly updates like 9 or 10 times a year.
I thought quarterly meant 4.
Yeah, but it's that time again. Let's see, November, February, May, and then we close out the following September. But quarterly update for March 31st. We do this to just remain accountable for our budget. And if you look at the spreadsheet that Megan has open there on the screen, you can see just basically we bring our changes to you monthly. Between April and May, there were no changes in revenue for unrestricted. But to the right-hand, far right column, there was 105,000 change in restricted that we'll talk about in a minute. And if you scroll down just a touch, stay in that first variance, which is unrestricted. Expenditures only increased by 18,000, the bottom number in the middle there. And then when you go to the restricted side, you'll often hear me say we always balance our budget revenues to expenditures. So as the revenues increased by 105,572, as did the expenditures. And then if you scroll on down, every month we do bring a budget update to you folks, even if it's just in consent there. But we have the 17,998 was our increase in a decrease actually in expenditures. So our current surplus in our general fund, unrestricted right now, is $238,819. And then the rest of this document simply shows if anyone ever wants to know what did we adopt in our budget, what did we change and why did it change, it's all listed there. And you can stop right about there, Megan. The restricted changes of 105,000 that I mentioned are the bottom of that first section there. And it just simply was a CTE advanced manufacturing and allocation increase for 100,000 and a small CTE increase of 5,000. And then just scrolling on down to all the changes we've covered. The very last section, yeah, right there, shows just in this last month. If you add up all those items, you have an $18,000 decrease in expenditures, which then increased our surplus accordingly. You see some big numbers going back and forth here. The $1,000,008 you'll actually see a little bit later with a transfer, but we have that reflected the revenues coming in for the Hanford one-time funds and moving that from what we thought would be a capital to where we plan to now transfer it out. So usually those items will net. So any questions on that particular report? Okay, the next two that we have are simply projections at this time, at this point of the year. The first is for our unrestricted general fund revenues. And when you look at the left column, it's what did we adopt, $55.59 million in revenues. Our annual projection at this point, our working budget would be $57.87 million. And then the collected is simply a point in time. But when you look at the net annual change, really there's only two large components. The $2 million at the top there is the state revenue total. Main components are the $1.2 million for Hanford, since it achieved center status, and the $865,000 a little below that, which was our mandate cost reimbursement. So you folks, you trustees are very familiar with that because we've brought expenditure plans to you. Yeah, we've spent it already. Other things were just some other local income, non-resident tuition, and interest came in a little stronger than we had budgeted. So, and they described that below. The last report is our summary of expenditure estimates, and if you'll scroll just a touch more, you can get to the totals there at the bottom. The adopted is our first column. Our working budget is where are we at this point in time with our budget. And then annualized projection takes what did we have, what did we expend by March 31st? And if you took an average April, May, June from last year, what would we expend? So you can see bottom of variance working budget, the total, the variance of what we project to what our budget is currently. There may be $1.5 million go unspent. It's comprised of a lot of different components. If you might recall, with my having been here almost 4 years now, I've realized that this district tends to have between $1 million and $2 million go unspent per year. A lot of different components to that. I actually broke the largest ones down if you're at all interested, but the largest here are benefits. And then the services, we're actually hoping quite a bit of that may be expended by the end of the year, but $867,000. We were low on legal fees this year. We have some instructional contract services for dual enrollment, cosmetology. Electricity came in lower this year. Bad debt expense actually will be booked, but it shows as unspent there. Things like that. Our MAW, we just have these items. Our MAW used to be $250,000 that we'd carry over every year unspent. We're trying to encourage people to spend that. It's down to $109,000. So, and another $50,000 is there from the one-time Hanford funds for Hanford events. So you might see that go unspent for a few years as we chip away at that. So feel free to ask questions as we
So
go
low
along.
on
Yeah.
legal fees, that's gotta be a positive sign.
That's a good sign this year. Yeah. It can, you can have, just depends on what comes your way. You can have years that are over and years that are under. The next report.
Right?
Yeah.
Stay with a few under.
Yeah. The next report is split into two sections. It lists all of our funds. General fund is what we mostly focus on in the left column, but it has all of our other funds. And the top section shows what's happening with the fund balance at this point in time, March 31st. Bottom section shows where's our cash. And you do have it all the way to the subtotal. You might go a little lower at the bottom there. I'm just going to point out, let's see, our fund balance for general fund at this point in time is almost $20 million, and our cash is likewise $20 million. We're in a really healthy place for a general fund. The only two things that I'll mention, third column ends, Farm Special Reserve. You can see the fund balance there in the top section went down by about $480,000, and that was just expenditures that we've made on our almond trees and our almond acreage. About in the middle, you see our banked leave, and it's a little odd to see an $854,000 decrease there. But our auditors came to us as we closed our year last year, and they said, we actually feel this would be better reflected as a liability than just cash held in this this fund. So it's simply moving it from an asset, cash to a liability there. So that's why the fund balance is lower, liability is higher. So the good news is pretty decent cash in all of our funds. Nothing that we're really worried about. So I think that's it for the update reports.
Additional questions? None? Okay.
Okay.
We do have some questions.
If you have cash, how can that be a liability?
It's fund balance. It was fund balance, so they are now, I gotta get my debits and credits. They're debiting fund balance and crediting a liability, I believe.
Okay, so you just went like that.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
And why is it not a bad idea to not spend all that money?
In that particular fund?
Well, you said earlier, you said we encourage them to spend that money.
Oh, you were back on, MAW.
I never knew that it was really bad. It kind of reminds me of when I was in the Army, they said you gotta shoot some shells because we can't get them next year if you don't shoot them this
Yeah.
year.
Medi-Cal.
No, that's not what this was.
Yeah, so this is the prior report, Medi-Cal administrative activities. You, as a board, have just heard us year after year talk about our carryover, and it used to be $250,000. The whole program is closed now. The federal government's not funding it. We're not participating, other than there might be, I don't even think we have old claims out. So we've received our final allocations probably 3 or 4 years ago for MAW. And it was allocated to departments based on what activity they had reported and claimed, but they just carry it over every year. No, they aren't really spending it. So we remind them, and we're spending it down. So okay,
Right? That's it?
yeah. Till the next.
You're on for the next item as well.
So the next item is our quarterly financial report. We call it here for community colleges a CCFS 311Q. It's third quarter, March 31st. And let's see, Megan, if you want to go to the next page, it's a pretty simple report, and you do see it quarterly. The first column is actuals 13-14, second is actuals 14-15, third is 15-16, and then we look at our current year, 16-7, projected to date. This just looks at the unrestricted general fund. Just to mention, you can look at the top line, the revenues. We've just been marching up every year as the state funding has gotten better. One of the things I'll mention, this budget was built, I believe, at 9680. If you scroll down just a touch, the annualized FTES in that far right column, we're now going to close the year at 9700. We have not finished our counting, but that's about our best estimate right there. So that's, yeah, well, we started at 9400, so we have had growth this year. Yeah. But you'll see an extra 100,000 that's not reported here. Our revenues over expenditures, that's line C, far right. In March it was 222, you just saw earlier, now it's 238, I believe. And then down at the bottom you see fund balance in E of 12,898. That at the time was 22.4%. You as a board adopted a priority of the state average. The state average for 15-16 was 22.5, and probably will be a little higher for 16-17. As we close, I anticipate this will be 25 or 26%. So we're in a good place there as well. Annualized FTEs, we just are continuing to grow at least the last couple years. And we have strong cash back compared to 4 years ago when we only had $3 million at this point, which wouldn't even pay, I'm trying to think, Linda, that's less than 2 weeks of payroll, isn't it? $3 million. So at least we can make, about 3 months of payroll now. Anyway, the next section 4 is, it's basically the exact same items, but the second column shows our current budget, and it shows our actuals year to date. So I don't pay a lot of attention to it because it's just at this point in time, where are we? But the current budget is what we've talked about just on the prior screen. And then we just go through and answer a few questions. And has the district settled any employee contracts during this quarter? No. Did we have any significant events for this quarter? No. And do we have any significant fiscal problems that must be addressed this year or next? No. So that is our quarterly report for your information. Okay.
Any other questions? All right, very good.
Thank you.
That is excellent from the time we were borrowing money to make payroll. So with that, we are moving on to the consent calendar. All items listed on the consent calendar are considered routine and will be enacted by one motion. An item may be removed from the consent calendar at the request of any member of the Board of Trustees or any person in the audience and considered as a separate agenda item. So with that, do we have any items that need to be pulled from the consent calendar today? If not, I would accept a motion for approval of the consent calendar.
Second.
We have a motion, a second for approval. Any additional discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Motion is carried. All right. That gets us to action items. Item 12, curriculum. Dr. Lucerno.
Hi, everybody. You have before you the curriculum report for this month. It has been approved through the processes of the Curriculum Committee and the Academic Senate, and it's recommended that the board approve the attached list. On the first page, you have 3 new courses in our ICT program and our learning skills. Then next, at the bottom of that page begins the modified courses, and those go on to the next page. Most of these are modified for their 2-year or 5-year review, course descriptions, learning outcomes, course content. Same thing on page 3. These are all modified courses, all for their 5-year review. Page 4 continues with the modified courses. You see there's a number of PE courses because 5 years ago was when repeatability came in and they had to redo all of their courses, so they're up for 5-year review. So there's a lot of PE courses in there. And page 5, again, 5-year review for Spanish and our work experience courses. The bottom of page 5 is modified programs. We have 3 modifications, all up for 2-year review and 5-year review. And on the last page, all modifications to programs, 2-year and 5-year review. Any questions?
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the curriculum report. Is there any additional discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried. All right, thank you very much.
I just had one comment. Do they really still call it step aerobics? That seems like such an outdated term. Do they still call it step aerobics?
that class.
Conjures up images of leg
Yes,
warmers
yes.
and side
Like
scrunchies.
that's such an old term. I don't know what else you call it, but that's kind of, you don't hear that too often anymore.
Just
Yeah,
the
they still have
scrunchie
it.
with your
Yeah.
hair in a side pony. Yeah. Okay. You guys are nervous that I know that much about that.
Okay, item 13, board policies, second read.
These 3 policies are before you for a second reading and consideration of your action to approve. The first is Board Policy 5050 in Student Services, and you can see through the strike-throughs and the new language underlined in bold that this policy is essentially changing language from what used to be referred to as matriculation at the state level to what is now the Student Success and Support Program. And essentially making sure that this policy is up to date with that new language and terminology. The next one, Board Policy 5110, similarly is a policy that we've had in place regarding counseling, and the only update when this one came through was a change from the reference of college to the term district. And then the last one is a new board policy that's been developed and is before you now for final approval. You might remember that as of January 1st, 2017, new law required that we have a board policy in place specific to this issue, debt issuance and management, and we needed to have this BPAP through the process and approved in order to be able to carry on our activities and actions regarding bond sales, issuance of debt, and debt management, which we're going to see later on the agenda this evening. So, any questions? If not, these are before you for a second and final read, and our recommendation is action to approve.
I move that we waive the second reading and approve all 4 policies.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the board policies as enumerated, 5050, 5110, and 6110. Is there any further questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we have item 14 on the agenda, which is the bid award for the pool modernization project. And you are not Mr. Woods.
I'm not Mr. Woods. He is
And,
home very sick. So I apologize, but I get to carry this one forward tonight. The district did go to bid for our pool renovation. You might recall we had $4.9 million come our way, one-time mandated costs in 15-16, and from that we allocated $750,000 for this pool renovation project. We saw those costs creeping up a bit, and this year from our additional $865,000 in one-time mandate cost reimbursement, we allocated an additional $50,000. That's $800,000. The project scope grew even a little bit beyond that, mostly due to ADA, Americans with Disabilities Act requirements that really have stepped up the last few years. So we did go to bid. We had 2 responsive bidders. We had one that was a no-show, and that's attached. But the low bid was our second bidders, California Commercial Pools, for $875,000, and wanted you as the board to know that we are going to use some additional funds from our capital projects funds. We have, if you noticed when I brought those prior budget updates, We have over 5 million in capital projects, but about 1.3 to 1.4 million of that is our undesignated, there for extra needs or emergencies. So we're going to use a little extra to cover this overage and a little bit of the design cost, and we are seeking your approval of that.
Question?
Yeah.
There's no local people that do this type of stuff?
You know,
Not on this size and scope.
yeah, I think there's a lot of
It's
local
better to go all
pool.
the way to Glendora to get somebody to
When
do
we,
this?
when we did pools in my former districts, Greg, it was almost always, there were about 4 or 5 statewide that did full pool construction and were able to bond it, construct it, and show experience. They weren't from our area.
And these guys have been checked out?
This is what
Yes.
they do. Yeah,
Yeah.
They're the top providers in that industry.
And you can see on the bid sheet, they had to submit all these documents that are the documents required for them to be qualified
Yeah.
for this. So
That
we've,
seems like a lot of money to redo a swimming pool.
yeah.
Oh, shoot, this isn't even a full reconstruction.
What's that?
This isn't even fully reconstructing the pool. This is the decking and then the new liner, but it's not like we're chiseling it out and then really rebuilding the pool. It would be even more.
Hard thing. Swallow was, I remember when this was, people got built.
Yeah,
I was a student.
yeah, yeah.
Who's got our use out of it?
I guess. If you've seen it, you know it's well used.
Yeah.
I move we approve.
Second.
Okay.
Earl did it.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the bid for the pool renovation. So with that, is there any further questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and motion carried, and we're on our way. And I suspect that's going to start pretty quick, right?
Thank you for approving, because the jackhammers are going right now.
Oh, I don't know. No, I think
No.
we
This
drained,
week,
but
yeah, they're
we're
draining.
draining, but yeah, I think they'll start as soon as we have to sign this and get them going.
And
They're ready.
what impact is the water sports program? I know Mr. Davis,
Yeah.
I should have asked him. He's-
That's okay. We've worked really closely with athletics and our water sports, and the pool is cleared until I think September, early September.
So
So
do they
anyone-
normally train over the summer, or they wouldn't anyway? Or are they using somebody else's facilities like the swimmers?
Yeah, if they were going to be training over the summer, they don't always train all summer long. If they were going to be training over the summer, they would be using our pool. What we'll do now is make arrangements for them to train in one of our neighboring facilities, as well as if we get in a bind. The folks in our area know that we're going through this. I think everybody's supportive of it. There's a number of nice pools in Visalia if we needed to partner, and so we have fallback position for practice and.
Did we offer camps and stuff too, though? I mean, are those?
Yeah, those have had to find,
those we
they've
have
all
to
been
find.
communicated to,
Found
and,
homes for the time being.
or, yeah, some of the rec teams as well, so they're just practicing
I would imagine
elsewhere.
Our new swim and dive coach would have pretty good relationships with Mount Whitney.
Yeah.
Well, and she coached and taught at LD, so.
All right, very good. You're, I believe, on for the next one as well. The item 15, permanent transfer of funds to capital projects, and this is a resolution.
Yeah, and I'll just explain it a little bit. We are coming to you tonight to transfer funds to capital projects account. We're going to be here tonight, and then again in June we have another transfer that we'll be seeking approval for. But this tonight is primarily the $1 million that came from the Hanford one-time funds, and you'll recall it was $1.2 million. I have the whole list, but there were literally about 17 items that are facility or construction related. So we're requesting those funds to be moved, and then in addition to that, there was the timing just worked out well to combine these. There was $867,000 made available to our instructional council and for instructional equipment for all our academic programs. That went through the process of allocation. They happen to call that above base as well because it's one time. But one of those was a fairly large construction. They're going to create an outdoor classroom space for physical education, just outside the door to the weight room, and they're behind the Mariposa building, kind of on your way to the pool and the track. So we want to transfer that $75,500, and the total is $1,080,570 that we would need you to approve the resolution to transfer.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second for approval of resolution 2017-04. Is there any other questions or discussion? If not, we will have the board polled.
Okay. Trustee Cardoza?
Aye.
Trustee Mann?
Aye.
Trustee Sherman?
Aye.
Trustee Zumwalt?
Aye.
Trustee Nunez?
Aye.
I knew that was coming.
Dr.
Think about
Roberts,
that.
I don't know, but it feels like we've transferred millions and millions and millions.
As it should be, right?
I'm just glad you got her name right.
Yeah, I heard one last.
He was waiting all meeting for a second chance, Kristen.
He was hoping
I
you
have
would
it
sneak out.
spelled out here.
He was waiting all meeting for a second chance.
All right, so the next items on the agenda, items 16, 17, and 18 have to do with the resolution authorizing issuance of the obligation bonds refunding. So I suspect we'll take those kind of together, so.
Yeah. Mark Farrell's going to come join us. I'm going to give you kind of a brief introduction, and then especially if you have specific questions, he'll be able to answer those. But as you know, we're seeking authorization for refunding of Series C from Hanford campus. Sorry, these were originally A on Hanford, A and C on Visalia, and A on Tulare. They're going to get new names when they're refunded. Item 16 will be to approve the refunding bonds for Series C on the Hanford campus. Item 17 will be to approve the refunding bonds for Series E for Tulare. I'm sorry, these aren't in alphabetical order. 18 will be to approve the refunding bonds for Series D in the Visalia area. And you can see the related amounts. And I'm just going to try and let you know what's in these packets. We have 3 packets. The first packet has a little more information, and we didn't want to replicate those for each item. In fact, I left my POS down there. That's not good. A preliminary official statement. But Hanford was originally issued in 2006. Tulare and Visalia originally 2008. These particular bonds show, as you saw, some significant savings if we refund. So what we want to do is seek your approval tonight. You did ask at the last information meeting if we might be able to guarantee 1.5% savings or more from the average interest rate originally to the refunding. And I do have a slide I'll show you a little later, but we're looking at closer to 2%, I think. So in this packet, you have the resolution that's about 19 pages. Want to note that this will be sold at a competitive sale, not a negotiated sale. And if you'll just scroll down real quickly, and then I'll let Mark join in. We have Exhibit B, notice inviting proposals for purchase of bonds. Then you have the form of the preliminary official statement, which eventually will become the official statement. It will be a very large document. It's the long attachment. We also have the form of the continuing disclosure certificate. And I wanted to mention that later, after some of these documents, we have, and we'll get to that, but we have the projected savings included. And then I also included something that we had brought to you about a year ago at this time when we were considering refunding. It's our internal management bulletin on bond security financing disclosure policies, because the board is responsible that we're meeting all our financing disclosure requirements, and that's part of this huge packet. But if you wanted to scroll to the back, you could see what we're saying that we are requirements that we're meeting in this process. Is it okay if I have her scroll to this real quick? Could you go? Okay. Well, you go past all the fine print, and so you're going to get to B and C. So probably about 30 pages.
What does it look like?
There you go. Mark, you want to come up and? Give me the bottom page, just so I can see what
We're in
Oh, you're getting
exhibit.
close. You're in C.
There we
You're getting
go.
close. Okay, keep going.
There we go.
There you go.
Oh,
Perfect.
got it?
That was it.
Do you want,
Yeah.
do you want this?
Okay. You want to share
Sure, I
a little bit?
I can share a little bit. So, as Christine mentioned, we're refunding 4 series of prior bonds from all 3 SFIDs. And as of kind of last week, or I guess maybe 2 weeks ago, May 5th, looking at the difference in interest rates for the Hanford bonds, we're looking at a reduction of about 1.75%. And then for Visalia and Tulare, about a reduction of 2%. For Hanford, saves about $2.7 million to taxpayers. For Visalia, we're looking at about $3.8 million in savings to taxpayers, kind of based on estimates 2 weeks ago. And in Tulare, about 2.2, almost about $2.25 million. So all told, with all 3 refinancings, or and the 3 SFIDs, about $8.7 million of savings to taxpayers. So very significant dollar amount of savings to taxpayers. We are scheduled to get the ratings hopefully on Wednesday of this week. Christine had conference calls with us and Moody's and Standard & Poor's a week or 2 ago. Calls went very well, kind of your budget report from earlier, very strong finances, so very easy conversations with the rating agencies. The district already has a rating with Standard & Poor's, A+. This will be the first time that we'll get a rating from Moody's. We've kind of got our fingers crossed that maybe we'll get a little bit higher rating from Moody's and potentially even an upgrade from Standard & Poor's. And if that happens, that'll help bring the interest cost down even lower, so even more savings to taxpayers. So, obviously be able to share that information with the board at the next board meeting. And if all goes well, we'll get the preliminary official statement out Wednesday or Thursday of this week, do the competitive sale next week. That's where we'll bid out the bonds and basically allow every investment bank to offer to buy the bonds, and we'll select whichever investment bank gives the lowest interest rates to the district. And the financing would close in mid-June. So really once the bonds are sold in about a week, that'll lock in all the savings to taxpayers.
Do the taxpayers, did they find out we're actually saving them money, or?
What we typically help our clients do is help put together a press release to, kind of share the good news with the community, kind of at a high level, to talk about the savings that it generates. It's hard on a per taxpayer basis. The savings don't necessarily seem as large.
They'll see it in their tax.
But they'll see it. On the next page, the savings, on the tax bill, will lower, anywhere from, say, $1 to $2 per 100,000. So depending on which area of the college you live in, Hanford has a little bit of the higher dollar amount of savings on the tax rate. It's also just a little bit smaller assessed value, so about $2 to $3 there. About $1 or so in Visalia, and then about $1, and it fluctuates depending on how much of savings are in every particular year. So it may not be readily apparent to the taxpayer if they look at their tax bill year to year, but we'll definitely help put together a press release that you could send out.
I might add, this is one of those things, Greg, where we're just going to have to sleep a little better at night knowing that we did it, because we will get a press release. We've done these before, right? We'll have something that says, college trustees take action to save taxpayers $8 million. It's not bad news. So the Times Delta isn't going to print it, and then because it's such a small, tangible in your actual tax bill, you may or may not recognize it. So we'll figure out a way to do our own communications online and otherwise to make sure that we get a little bit of a splash for the action, because I think it's an important message that our community should know we worked hard to save them $8 million.
It certainly wouldn't hurt your re-election campaign either.
I'll let you say that. I'm gonna say that.
But you have to make sure you don't say $8 million just for Visalia.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Then you will get Nunez fired up.
So, Any other questions?
Questions?
Trying to think if there's anything else.
Well, they're
No.
resolutions, so we need a roll call vote.
Okay, so
On-
what we're
on
gonna
each one.
do is, we're gonna start with resolution, 2017, 05, which is Series C for Hampton.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second to adopt resolution 2017-05. Would you please poll the board?
Trustee Zumwalt?
Aye.
Trustee Sherman?
Aye.
Trustee Cardoza?
Aye.
Trustee Mann?
Aye.
Trustee Nunes?
Aye. All right, unanimously approved. We'll move on to resolution 2017-06, which is Series E for the Tulare Improvement District Number 3.
So moved.
Second.
Moved in second. If no additional questions, all those in favor, strike that. We'll have the board polled once again, please.
Trustee Cardoza?
Aye.
Trustee Sherman?
Aye.
Trustee Mann?
Aye.
Trustee Zumwalt?
Aye.
Trustee Nunes?
Aye. All right, that one is unanimously approved. Resolution 2017-07, Series D, Visalia Improvement District Number 2.
So moved. Second.
Motion and a second for approval, and we'll have the board polled yet again.
Trustee Sherman?
Aye.
Trustee Zumwalt?
Aye.
Trustee Cardoza?
Aye.
Trustee Mann?
Aye.
Trustee Nunes?
Aye. And that one is unanimously approved. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Carroll.
Thank you, guys.
Christine? That's always a fun one to do. We can save some money. All right, with that, we are down, I believe, to item 19, sabbatical leave request. And Mr. Carrizosa is going to handle that for us.
Okay, so you see in your board packet this evening, again, tonight, a resubmittal of the single sabbatical that was reviewed and approved by the Faculty Enrichment Committee for the year 2017-18, coming up effective fall semester. FEC has approved the sabbatical as proposed by Chris Keene in the math department. You're familiar with the general outline and intent of this sabbatical based on the sabbatical review we did and then the action the board took to kind of redirect the sabbatical process back to FEC, and the board be responsible for funding a single sabbatical for the upcoming year. This is the sabbatical approved by FEC. Your approval of this evening, our recommendation is to approve based on FEC's selection, and then it would enact the process between the district and this faculty member to complete the additional sabbatical documentation that's required. And so you may still see additional documentation coming through as an employee going out on a paid leave. That would be on consent agenda, but it would be associated with this approved sabbatical.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for approval of the sabbatical leave request. Are there any further questions or discussion on this particular item? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. Well, listen, thank you all very much for sticking with us. I think everybody that's left had to be here, so that's just the way it is. Thank you very much, and I will miss the next meeting, so our erstwhile vice president will be in charge.